Hey everybody, Bearded Rogue back again for unboxing it in Oregon video, and this time we're looking at box 8, and this time there are only 3 games in here, and we'll see how long it takes me. I've been going a little longer on talking about some of these than others, but this one should go pretty quick. I say that every time, and then it's about 15 minutes regardless, but we'll see. So, first one is Imperial Settlers, which was upside down for a second there. I only own the base game for this. I looked everywhere to get it. It was very, very hard for me to get at the time. It had completely sold out everywhere. It's back in print, I believe. It has a whole bunch of expansions. I don't own any of them. I need to play this game a lot more than I have. I've only played it twice. I really enjoyed both plays, but I wanted to play it more before I got the additional expansions. I played 2-player in the initial scenario, which was really fun, and then I played 4-player, and I played as the Egyptians in that and had a blast. I really like this game. I've heard it compared to 51st State. I've never played 51st State, not even the new fancy edition, so I don't know which one I'd like better. I know that I like this one. I'm pretty sure I would probably like that one too, but I don't know enough about them to compare them. Either way, this is a game I want to play more of, and hopefully that will be the case now that I am here. The next game is Android. I mentioned back in Infiltration that I love the Android universe. This game is why. There are a lot of people who don't like this game, and I can understand some of their complaints, but there's no game in my collection that I've ever played that feels as much like playing a novel as this game. It's ostensibly a whodunit mystery. Somebody's dead, and you're one of the people investigating the murder, whether you're a private eye or a mercenary or a bioroid or a clone, a psychic clone, or a disgraced police officer. You have your own backstory. You know, the private eye has a woman from his past, a femme fatale. He's also a war veteran. The dirty cop is on the take, obviously, and has some issues with substances, and his marriage is on the rocks, and, like, all of these characters have actual character and actual stories. And as you play through the game, you're dealing with the character's individual story while also trying to unravel the mystery and the conspiracy and solve the murder. Now, there are some people who criticize this because they feel like it's framing the killer, because you gather evidence and then place it on particular suspects. There's no clue-like reveal at the end where one person was definitely the killer and you deduced it. Instead, this game plays much more like you're the director, and you're deciding how the story goes through your actions in the game. So it's a bit meta, and I think that throws some people off, but for me, it doesn't bother me at all. The only thing that does bother me is the amount of time that this takes to play with new players, and you're almost always going to have new players at the table because so few people have played this, or will play it multiple times in a short time span. I've only played this twice, and it was basically once a year. It was one of my once a year, schedule a weekend, we're going to play Android-type games. I've loved both plays of this game. I played as the police detective one time and managed to break off the shackles of the criminal organization that was bribing me and reconstruct my marriage, and I failed to solve the case. The private eye managed to solve the case ahead of me and prove the conspiracy that everybody was involved in and score more points. But it was such an amazing time, and we could talk about the stories going forward about how my character, Lewis Blaine, the police officer, chose a particular path that put his life back on the right track but didn't get him closer to solving who the killer was. And, the private eye managed to escape the demons of the war that he fought in, and at the same time use his keen instincts to prove the conspiracy behind it all. And it just, this game generates stories. It's a Kevin Wilson game. and Dan Clark is also credited with game design. It's the game that generated the Android world. The previews for this game made me want a role-playing game in the Android world. I still do. The first Kickstarter I ever backed was a game called Tech Noir, which was an indie role-playing game set in cyber utopia, dystopia type future. It was so I could play a role-playing game in this world. That's how much I love the world of Android and how vivid the pictures this game paints are. Like I said, it's not a game for everybody, but I found that if you are the person who this game is for, you will love this game and treasure this game. I'm never getting rid of it. I want to play it a billion, trillion times, and I'm never going to get to. But this box started my love affair with the Android universe and everything else. And speaking of the Android universe, we're going to get to the third game in this box. This is one of my top 3 games of all time. I say top 3 games of all time because I really have a problem choosing between 1 and 3. 1, 2, or 3 for any of these. It really depends on my mood. It depends on who my gaming partners are and exactly when in my life it is. Whether I want to play co-op or competitive, etc., etc. Whether I want a long game or a short game, whether I really want to use my brain or not. But this one is Android Netrunner. So this is my Beal playmat back from Regionals 2013. Back when I was playing competitively. It's the only swag that I really have, the only playmat swag. I have some acrylic click trackers and some stuff like that, but that's really it. The other content of this are my 3 core set boxes, which all have custom foam core inserts, which were the first foam core inserts I ever built to house all of my Netrunner cards. I have 2 sets of everything up through the Order and Chaos expansion. After Order and Chaos, I kind of fell off the wagon because everybody in my area stopped playing completely. Or they played at a competitive level that I wasn't able to match because I'm not a lifestyle gamer. This is a game that really deserves to be played as a lifestyle. I think there's so much strategy and so much depth to it. The constant influx of cards, while it can get expensive and annoying, constantly forces you to change up what you're doing. You can't just build one deck and then sit on it. I suppose you could, but you'd have to be very content with losing. My intent right now is to acquire everything up through their first rotation and then stop. I will probably at that point turn it into some sort of a draft cube or something that I can play over and over again with people. I'm interested in the Terminal Directive set because it involves storylines and has a legacy type aspect to it, which is something they're incorporating from some of their other game designs, their LCG designs, and also something that kind of harkens back to the Android game, and that there's a developing story over time. There's always been a meta plot, an overarching story inside of Netrunner as the expansions are released, and characters that are rotating out have been given send-offs. Wizard, the character based on Kevin Wilson, the original designer of Android, is on the card Boom in one of the newest sets, being blown up by Wayland. Andromeda, one of the expansion runners for the Criminals, is going off to seek a new life under an alias. So it's just really interesting to me that all the characters that are rotating out, it's been written out why they've disappeared in the story. And I think that's really smart and really cool, and I just love this universe. It's one of the most inclusive universes I've ever seen. There are characters of every sexuality, nearly every ethnicity. There are characters that are partly human, like they're cyborgs at this point. There are genetically engineered characters. There are psychic clones. There's a completely synthetic character that you can play. There's even an AI at this point, like you can play as an AI. But yeah, every gender, every sexuality, every ethnicity, every transhumanist trope, anything that they can try to fit in here, they're working on it. And the artwork is top notch, like everything Fantasy Flight does. The storylines are really cool. The characters are really neat. I love this game. I absolutely love Netrunner. Pretty much everything about it, and it's one of those games that while I can't play as a lifestyle game, I really appreciate it. This game is another asymmetric game. One, for those who don't know, one player plays a corporation, and one player plays the hacker trying to hack into that corporation. As the corporation, you're just trying to advance your agendas. The runner is trying to steal all your information. And both sides play completely differently, and you're terrified no matter which side of the table you're on. If you're the runner, you're sure that all of their defenses are impenetrable and everything you have is not going to get you through. And if you're the corporation, you know that all your walls are paper thin, and all the runner has to do is hit you in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you won't have enough money, and you won't be able to protect yourself. And it's just, I love it. I absolutely love everything about this game. And that's why it's one of my top 3 games. We'll go into what the other ones are once they come up, but this one, definitely one of my top 3 games of all time. And like I said, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And that's it for Box 8. Box 8 was a pretty easy one. Again, almost talked for 15 minutes with 3 games, but one of them was a passion of mine, and the other one was one of my top 3 games of all time, so I think it's warranted. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go, and we'll move on to more boxing, or unboxing, in a minute. Bearded Rogue, out.